Another Sunday. Here, I'll show you a couple things. I got this on a deep discount on the Happy Planner website. I think it was $2. Unfortunately, then I had to pay shipping, but it was still pretty cheap. And I didn't particularly like the designs that they offered. So this was the best one. I thought black and white polka dots can go with flowers, or, I mean, I don't think that, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll get one that actually matches. And I had this desire for mild liners. I looked up how much they would cost, like 30 of them, and it's about $30. And I decided I'm not in the market for that, but I can't afford like $10, and there's 50 of these Crayola markers, Super Tips. I'm going to use these in my new Hobonichi planner, and I may use them in my Bible when I'm doing Bible journaling. So my daughter, the rule is, my daughter did this. She separated them by color family. But the rule is that I cannot have more markers than fit in this container. This will keep me from just going crazy and getting a bunch of markers. Although, like these, I can fit a lot in here. I don't really need that many, and I don't want to go crazy. Let's see. Today at church, we talked about the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 14, and this was when Jesus walks on water. I think most people are aware that Jesus did that in the Bible. A couple things that he pointed out, this big one was to ask God to show you where he is working, comparing it, I'm sorry, I bumped the camera, comparing it to Peter. When Peter got out on the water and tried to walk with Jesus, he was saying, what are ways that we can, what am I trying to say? What is the word? We can pair, that's not the word. We can cooperate, that's not the word either. We can go alongside Jesus and do the work that he's doing. This is what I wanted to talk about today, actually. There were two applications that our pastor said. He said, one, identify one thing that distracts you from Jesus. Two, identify one thing that directs your attention to Jesus. I'm going to go above and beyond here, and I'm just going to be real. And I'm going to talk about 1 and 2. We're going to make a list. And what color do we want to use for distraction? How about this? Does it have a color on it? Nope, it's just red. And I'm going to try this out here. Let's make a list. What are some things that have been distracting me from Jesus? Okay, thinky time. I'll say junk food. Why? It puts me in a bad mood. Makes me less social. Makes me unwell, so that it's hard to go out and do the hard things, so that it's harder to serve. We'll say it is harder to serve the kingdom, to the point where I won't even do it at all. I'll just lay on my couch. And let's see, I need a color. I'm sorry, I know, I need to be careful because this is not very stable and I'm bumping the camera. Okay, puts me in a bad mood. Yep, very much. Makes me less social. Makes me just not want to go out and talk to people. Makes me want to withdraw. And then this is related, but not eating healthy food. This is not strengthening my body or my mind. Strength. G? How do you spell strength? And then let's see. There's more. Let's keep going. 3. Speaking of these things that I bought, let's say consumerism. This keeps me focused on the world. It keeps me focused on what I want versus what God wants. Leads to selfishness because I want all the things. And all the things are just a distraction. I mean, that's what this That's what we're talking about. The things capture my attention. Honestly, and I hate to say this, but my creative writing, I fall into workaholism very easily. I try to work too much, take on too much. It's 2 zeros, right? Or 2 O's. I get more excited about my stories than about Jesus. I'll make this one the last one. I'll say parenting, because I focus on making my kids happy in the here and now versus training them spiritually. So I want to give them all the things. So I spend, that leaves the workaholism. I think I gotta work to give them all the things.
Alrighty, let's just go with a red theme tonight. We'll go not strengthening my body or mind. Just gonna go through and just do some underlining here.
Okay, so what do I want to do to kind of mitigate some of this? Junk food, obviously. I actually have lost 20 pounds so far this year, so I need to kind of double down on that, and I think I'm ready to start losing faster, because I didn't want to make too many changes at once, just because I didn't want to freak myself out. Yeah, I want to make sure I eat enough, even though I'm trying to lose weight. I don't want it to fall into that restriction. I want to make sure I'm eating enough healthy food, and that's going to help my body and mind be sharp. Consumerism, one of the reasons I went with Hobonichi was because I wanted to get away from using so many stickers in my planner. Because I just had a moment of thinking, like, what am I doing here? Like, what, I'm not getting down on anyone for doing it, but for me personally, I just was like, is this really what I want to be doing? I'm not sure. I kind of want to have less, but really enjoy what I have. Like, maybe I'll just put a few stickers. This could go haywire. I'm just saying. But maybe I want to put a few stickers that are really cute that I really like, versus filling the page up and just trying to make my spread look like somebody that I saw on YouTube, because they're really good at making spreads and I'm not as good. So trying to keep up with the Joneses. Like, I want less of that, and to try to figure out what works for me. Also, like I told you, I'm putting boundaries around my spending. Like, I want my markers to not fill out more than this little container, because I just don't want a lot of things, because a lot of things stress me out, having a lot of things. Creative writing side hustle, I have decided just to do 1,000 words a day, and to try to make those really good, solid, edited words. And if I do that every day, I can write 365,000 words a year, and that's way more than I've ever written. So I want to do slow and steady wins the race, and not get myself burnt out by working in spurts where I work too hard, and then I'm easily fall into the workaholism, where then I get into this point, or into this place of self-reliance, and I think I've got it all under control. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this work, instead of focusing on spending time with Jesus and asking God to help me in my day-to-day, even in the smallest things that I do. I can't help but get excited about my stories, but I think spending less time writing will get me to be a little, it'll curb my enthusiasm a little bit, and I think I need that. As far as parenting, I think all of this is going to help my parenting, because I think I will eat well, which will be a good example for them. Not be selfish with all my daughters up here now, I think. Hello. yeah, I don't want them to see me buying just a bunch of stuff and be focusing on stuff. And I don't want them to see me relying on my creative writing for my healthy outlet too much. I want them to see me spending time in the Bible and with God, and because that's important and helps train them spiritually. Identify one thing that directs your attention to Jesus. Let's see. I'm just going to do one because I don't want this video to be too long. And I'm going to do purple. Something that directs my attention to Jesus. And this one's really obvious, but I want to spend more time reading and studying the Bible. Because I realize I've been a little bit guilty of being a person who hears the word and doesn't put it into practice. But how do you put it into practice if you don't know what the word says? And so that's one thing. You need to know the word to put it into practice. And this is spiritual woo-woo stuff, I guess, but we don't know this. It's spiritual. This is metaphysical stuff that God works through the word supernaturally through the Holy Spirit. And so when we are in the word, we are kind of like, not kind of, but we're spending time with God. So, and it draws us closer to him. I had another thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it was. So yeah, knowing the word and putting it into practice. Oh, I know, if you don't spend time forming to Christ via the word, you will be conformed to the world. And having been away from the Bible for so long, I really noticed this happening, and I don't like it, and I don't want to go back there. So I do feel like I've made some strides being more conformed to Christ over the last year, because I've made specific efforts to get myself closer to God after spending a lot of time just kind of ignoring God, I guess. And yeah, I found myself in a place where I was really like, the world was starting to make more sense to me than the things of the Bible, and that's not where I want to be. Not at all. It's not a healthy place. And so yeah, spending time reading and studying the Bible is of utmost importance, and I want to spend time every night. I'm going to sit at this desk, and I don't know, I may listen to a sermon and take notes on it, or I may just do some Bible journaling, or I may just sit and read, or I may take notes. I don't know. Just spend some time every night and see what happens. That's all I have for today. And so I encourage you to think of these 2 applications and what is distracting you from Jesus, and what is one thing that can direct your attention to Jesus. I think that's just a good exercise to take stock and see where you're at spiritually. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today, and I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you again next weekend.